This is L&D Unlocked, a series for L&D and HR professionals looking to unlock the future of learning and development. Presented by BizLibrary, L&D Unlocked is an ongoing series where we speak to industry experts and thought leaders about the future of work, workplace trends, and how your organization can prepare today for the challenges of tomorrow. Learn more at bizlibrary.com.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of L&D Unlocked, the one and only series for L&D and HR professionals that are really looking to unlock the future of learning and development. You can find and subscribe to this series on our YouTube channel at BizLibrary, or head to bizlibrary.com and subscribe and kind of view what we offer there. I am so excited to introduce this week's guest, Lorna McCellan. Lorna is the Learning and Development Director at Hoffmann Brothers. Lorna, welcome to the show, longtime friend, and so excited to have you join us. Tell me about yourself and kind of your role at Hoffmann.
Thanks, Paul. Definitely a longtime friend. Used to watch Paul play on the soccer field as a elementary and middle school player with my brother, right? So
And look at us now.
Yeah, look at us now. Great. Well, hey everyone, my name's Lorna McCellan, and as Paul said, I work at Hoffmann Brothers, local here in St. Louis, residential services company. We have locations in St. Louis and in Nashville. But a little bit about myself. My background is actually in K-12 education. After college, I joined Teach for America. I was a high school biology teacher for 4 years and then moved back to St. Louis to do instructional coaching and design for the Teach for America St. Louis team. Worked on that team for about 11 years and then decided to make a transition. I went to WashU, got my executive MBA through the program there, and in the midst of that program, joined the team over at Hoffmann Brothers to kick off a learning and development initiative that they have called Hoffmann Brothers University. And I'm almost 2 years into my role here.
Very cool. Hey, I didn't realize you're a Teach for America that long. Were you, what did your role entail there, and how is it different from kind of what you're doing at Hoffmann now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ask myself all the time, what is the same, what is different? So, at Teach for America, at first my role at that program was direct coaching of the teachers in the classroom. So one-on-one, observing their classrooms, giving them real-time feedback, focusing a lot on their curriculum and how they were implementing it in their classroom, and a lot of classroom management. As I stayed at Teach for America and moved up in the organization, I definitely started to work more in learning and development strategy, a lot of leadership development. So that's where I think the similarity is right now. I did a lot of leadership development at TFA, and now at Hoffmann Brothers, one of the pieces of work that I spend a lot of time doing is our manager training and our leadership training. Although I think you'll also see, Paul, as we talk a little bit more about the work that I'm doing, the concept of Teach for America is you take people who did not go to school to be a teacher and teach them how to teach students. And the work I'm doing here at Hoffmann Brothers now is taking people who are not teachers, they're master plumbers, they're HVAC technicians, they are electrical field professionals, and working with them to design curriculum and teach people the skills that they know. So there is a lot of similarity in the work that I do of helping people break down the things that they're really good at and transfer that knowledge to a group of new people, whether they're elementary students or aspiring plumbers.
That's very cool. I actually, I just sat down yesterday with another transformed, was an educator, moved into kind of L&D strategy. And it was interesting because you were saying you got your MBA at WashU. She actually went to get her master's in instructional design because she was trying to just make a complete career change from being in education for 10, 15 years. It was fascinating. She said to me, she's like, what I quickly realized is like I knew all of that stuff. She's like everything
Yeah.
they were teaching me, I'm like, oh, as an educator, like that's like what we do every day. Like that's the easy stuff.
Yep.
Where she moved, which it sounds like kind of your evolution too, is that's all great and was fun for a time, but it's much more fun to be a level up designing the strategy for these programs that then an instructional designer can kind of implement.
Yeah, I certainly would agree with that statement, at least for the type of work that I really enjoy doing.
That's awesome. Well, very cool. Very, very cool and super relevant experience for kind of the purpose of this YouTube series. So, it was interesting. We have seen, even the last few years, a major increase in the number of clients that we're seeing come on board, and even just companies that are coming looking to us for help in this, what we'll call like field services role, right? A lot of salespeople, customer service representatives that are very dispersed around the country, around a given city or state. And generally they're looking for a lot of kind of those like safety or really technical skills, but also a lot of things relative to like customer service and, the importance of that people just don't have formal training in. So I'm uniquely fascinated because I think our audience, there's a lot of people who have a similar training situation to what Hoffmann deals with. What does your current program look like today? How do you prioritize training? And what does that look like for Hoffmann relative to the people you have to train that, actually have to be out in the field all day, every day, and really don't have much time to prioritize this?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially when you think about one of the things that in learning and development, a lot of people struggle to do is make the argument, right? What's the return on the investment? And especially when you start adding in every hour that you are in training at the office is an hour that you are not in the field generating revenue. And that impacts both our field professionals and the business as an overall. So that is a great, great question, and something I think we're still trying to figure out here. But I guess what I would say, like if I'm going to think about the general approach that we take to training our field professionals. So one, we try to make every single training that we ask our field professionals to engage in be directly linked to their success in the field. So our customer service program that we train in, we invest a lot. We send every one of our field professionals to a 3-day in-person training on our customer service approach. And then we do supplement that throughout the year. But we do see for our field professionals, we can make that direct link for them around after you go to this 3-day training. Wow, you're actually uncovering more services that you can provide to customers. You're improving lives in their homes. You're uncovering different needs and wants that they have in their home. So making it really relevant to them. And then when we do the supplement here on our customer service, it is quick and it is focused, right? We are not coming in and saying, here's a 2-hour training on every single thing that you should be doing when you walk into a home. We actually isolate one small piece of our program, do a quick 30-minute learning on it, in which we are saying, here's what, here is the small piece that you are going to go and do differently tomorrow. And here's how you should see it impact your KPIs and your revenue that you're producing. So that's what the customer service is, that really targeted, really focused, quick learning for folks. When I think about the technical training that we do, right? Technical training isn't as easy to say, hey, here's a quick little hit. But we do link all of our technical training to how our field professionals move in their in their wage tree. So
Yeah.
we have a set of skills that are, you need to master to move from a level 1 field professional to a level 2 field professional. And so if you're doing a training, you can connect it directly to how that is helping you progress in your career, how that's making you eligible to get more types of calls from customers, how you're able to, expand your offerings.
Very cool. So is it is it time bound? Like, hey, you did this job for this period of time in the first tier and you hit your KPIs. Now you're eligible for like the next level of additional trainings. And then do you guys self-select that for them? Or are they kind of in control of that development? Like, hey, I don't want to move up to that level, or is it kind of forced?
Yeah, so let me answer the first part of your question. I would say that is it's a balance, right? So yes, we want you to be able to do the work efficiently and correctly, right? So we'll look at a measure of time on job, callbacks from a customer to really think like, are you proficient in this type of work? And then the majority of our technical training is unpaid. And so in that case, it is an opt-in from the field professional. So you own your career. You are the one who needs to drive that. Now, a lot of our field professionals do have licenses. So there are licensing requirements around how many continuing education credits you need to have each license cycle. So they're both balancing what's the right content for me to get development on, and am I getting my continuing education credits?
Gotcha. Which I would think both of those are pretty good carrots for, remaining engaged. You're one of the busiest people I know. Every time I'm talking to you, you're driving to a different training location. You're doing trainings, way before they actually head out into the field, and then after. That's kind of how you balance that, right? A little bit is you're not taking time out of their day where they could actually be making money. They just have to prioritize time before or after work.
Yeah. So all of our training is 7 a.m. or after hours. So, we are very, very rarely pulling people out of the field. Although there are some cases where we might do half a day class on water heaters, or, a half a day class a couple times a week on boilers. But that is something that someone, would have a discussion with their manager and really understand, why is this the thing that we're focused on? What's in it for me? What's in it for the company? What's in it for the customers?
Sure. Yeah, you mentioned ROI, which I think is, something everyone's concerned with. I really liked how you talked about basically, because it's interesting, and it'll be an opportunity for you to share more about kind of Hoffmann Brothers strategy and your growth and expansion. But you guys have really become a company that can do all things in the house. And hey, if this is not working, maybe it's because something else is actually the root problem. And hey, we want to be able to service that as well. So I can you speak to that if you have any more additional info relative to, if you stair-step model the way you guys do, it really does work out to pretty easily be able to measure, like, hey, before this training, you didn't know how to not only ask the right questions, but then also potentially get a commission from servicing that or bringing new people. Post training, you actually can see very, very simply what additional services might sell into those homes.
Yeah, I can give you like a great example of how this might look and how it would play out for our specific industry. So you're right, Hoffmann Brothers, we are a whole home service company. We do electrical work, HVAC, heating, cooling, plumbing, appliance work. And so, we have specific teams that work on each type of system you have in your house because they're incredibly specialized. But a great example of what you're talking about is, let's think about our appliance field professionals. So you have a dishwasher that is not working, right? Well, we can come in and they can diagnose the piece of your dishwasher that is broken, and they can replace it or they can repair it. But let's say that the underlying factor behind why that piece of your dishwasher was broken is because your water pressure is too high. And that is putting too much strain on your machine. So our field professional comes in, they replace the piece of your dishwasher, but then you're a few months down the line and it's not working anymore. Well, if we train our appliance field professionals to technically test water pressure in a home and soft skill, ask you questions around, have you noticed any other leaking through your house? Have you had any other appliances or faucets that have um, malfunctioned lately? Well, we do training on that soft skill and on that technical skill, then we're going to be able to diagnose that underlying factor that's causing the issue in your home. And then we're going to be able to say, you know what, you need to have a pressure reducing valve. Let's get our plumbing team over here to get one of those installed for you. So we're really able to service what you need right now, but also help you avoid those issues in the future. And I think that would be like a great example of what you were talking about.
I love that. Well, and they just become so much more valuable. It's I think I was describing to you as, a homeowner. It's like sometimes as homeowners, we don't know exactly who to call for which problem. So to be able to say, and honestly, half the time it's, I have a water issue. Is it the roof? Is it the siding? Is it the plumbing? But to be able to basically call one company because of the way that they approach it and that they're consultative and that theoretically they could diagnose and help regardless, whether it's them or someone else,
Yeah.
you're becoming that expert.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we do have a membership program that people can join at Hoffmann Brothers. It's called the Home Protection Plan. And that really just gives you priority access to all of our teams. So if our appliance field professional is out there, diagnoses that you do have a water pressure issue, we're able to easily get you over to the plumbing team and get someone out quickly. Similarly, your HVAC issue might actually be an electrical issue. And so instead of having to tell you to go somewhere else, we're able to, just call dispatch and they get you set up with that.
Is that home protection plan? Is that like an annual thing? You can pay monthly? Is it?
Yeah, either. So you can either
service?
play it's based on per system in your home. So if you have 2 systems or 1 system, you can add on a tankless water heater. So it really depends on what are the systems that we will be performing maintenance on, because you also get twice yearly maintenance.
Very cool.
On those systems to help you avoid any of those first cold day of the year and your furnace isn't turning on. Right. So people can pay annually or monthly.
Gotcha. Do you know, is that common in your industry? Like, do your competitors do that kind of thing?
It's becoming more and more common. That building customer loyalty, I think, is a differentiating factor in the home services industry. Because if you think when are you calling a plumber or when are you calling an electrician or an HVAC field professional? It's when something's not working and it's an emergency, right? You don't generally say my air conditioner is not quite as cool as it was yesterday. You're going to call when this air is not cold. And so oftentimes, you go into Google, you type in Google, who's the first person that comes up. And we see the home protection plan as, we don't even want you to have to go to Google. Here, give us a call. We're going to be able to come and service that.
Yeah, I see it no different than going to the dentist or the doctor. Like, it's preventative maintenance on your home, which is cool. I mean, it's funny. I mean, it makes so much sense to me, and I don't subscribe to that program, right? Like with anyone. So that's part of the patient education. And, when someone comes to your house, being like, oh yeah, this would be a lot easier. And this is the time to catch me because I just, the toilet didn't work or whatever it is that was a major inconvenience.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And, one of the things that we would train our field professionals to do is when you're in someone's home, say, hey, is there anything else I can take a look at for you? And that sometimes just that one simple piece, that's what I'm saying around when you do the training, you're focusing on what is the one small thing that someone can do differently that day that they will see a result from and make them personally invested in that training that you performed. Getting people to ask that one little question. Hey, is there anything else while I'm here, is there anything else I can look at for you? Right? The electrician came because your light switch wasn't working, but you've probably got some outlets in a room that are a little loose. And so when they say to you, can I look at something else? And they're, they go and they show you that outlet that is loose, as a field professional, you're saying, oh, look, like I was able to help this customer more because I asked that one simple question. And then that's what's going to get them to do it more and more and more.
I love
And
that.
make
Yeah,
that
I love the micro learning on one specific topic that'll move the needle and you can actually track and measure versus, I know there's time for 3-day trainings, but that specific of a focus, I don't think happens enough in training environments.
Yeah. And I think the other piece, Paul, that I would say there is we all know, like, hey, a 3-day training is great. And when your company pays for that and invests in you that way and shows you, we send people away to go to that training, right? So, like, how many home services companies do you know that are sending their field professionals to Minneapolis or to Nashville or to Denver to go to a 3-day training? Like, this is a real investment that we're making in our employees. So that 3-day training feels really great as the employee, but if it's not reinforced when you get back to the office, if it's not the thing that your manager is talking to you about, if you're not seeing it in every team meeting, it's easy to revert back to the way that you were before. So we think a lot around what actually creates behavior change is very often not the large scale training, but rather what the follow-up looks like afterwards.
Love that. Yeah. Who hasn't been to a 3-day conference? You're like, that was awesome. I took a bunch of notes and I never looked at them again.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in my notebook that's sitting over here.
Yep. Awesome. Hey, let's shift a little to I want to get to Hoffmann Brothers University because I think that whole concept is fascinating and awesome. To kind of introduce that as a bit of a teaser and get your perspective. What is happening, for our audience in organizations like Hoffmann Brothers right now as it relates to talent development? I'm kind of curious your perspective on talent acquisition, talent development. It's interesting. I keep seeing all these research studies and data around, hey, college is too expensive. People are deciding to ditch it. Generally, that's like, oh, they're going to be programmers, and they're going a different route than college for that. But then a lot of it is also the dearth and talent and availability of a lot of what Hoffmann Brothers does. And I would say almost like the stigma that these are lesser than jobs or jobs that you can't be proud of or make a really good living in. And it's kind of crazy to me, but I'm curious what you're seeing, because from everything I read, it's like, oh, there's a shift back to people really appreciating the importance of those trade roles, and there's a high demand. But are you seeing that reflected in kind of the talent pool?
That's a great, I'm going to tell you every time. Good question. So, I mean, I would say that it is a small talent pool right now. And what you have identified is that we have done a great job. And I say we as the greater maybe industry or communities, schools, I think are doing a better job of building awareness of the opportunity, right? So people know there are great opportunities outside of maybe a traditional 4-year college. You can make a great living. You can advance into management. Like, there are all kinds of opportunities, and that college degree is not required for all of those. The issue that I see right now really is actually an access issue. So I think there is awareness. People know that it's an option. And then they come to you and they say, hey, I really want to be a plumber. What do I do? And that is often a challenging question to answer. There are trade schools, right? That is certainly an option for people. Now, if this is an opportunity for you to say, I don't want to pay this amount of money for an education, that especially I don't have it, right? I need to start working. A trade school might not always be attainable for everyone. And then there's also, we have licensing requirements. So there are some pretty strict requirements around journeyman to apprentice ratio, which makes it really difficult in some of these fields to grow the talent pool because the growth is limited by the number of positions open. So I would argue our biggest challenge right now is creating access. And so when I think about the work of Hoffmann Brothers University, I would say that is the thing that we are really trying to do. You want to go into HVAC, you want to go into plumbing. Well, we want to create a program that is able to accelerate you into that field and create access for more people who are interested in their careers.
I love that. So yeah, tell me more about what Hoffmann Brothers University is, what's the concept, and kind of what's the vision?
Yeah, so I would say Hoffmann Brothers University has 3 priorities that we focus on, and I'll do them in, I'll just do quick on 2 and then I'll deep dive into 1. So the first priority would say leadership development. Who at Hoffmann Brothers in the residential service industry, who are the leaders? What would it take to make them great leaders, great business people, right? Most of our managers are past field professionals. So you think you're excellent field professional, that is a very different skill set than being an excellent manager. So what do you need to be an excellent manager? That's your leadership development. Then we have career acceleration. I mean, the rate at which this industry is shifting and changing is rapid. New regulations from, around what type of coolant and freon is used. More and more smart technologies within your HVAC system, within your appliances. There are so many things that are coming down the line in this industry that keeping our field professionals up to date on what are the newest things that we can offer customers, that we can work on for customers. So that's sort of our career acceleration. You're in the field, how do we keep you best of the best?
Awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And then there is this third piece, and this is the piece that is more to this access, and we call it enter the trades. And so in our enter the trades program, what we have done, and this is probably most aligned to my past experience at Teach for America,
Sure.
is sit down with our field departments and say, what does it look like for someone to be, what we would call truck ready? They are ready to be in a truck, going to customers' homes, working on our top types of calls that our customers have. So, repairing a toilet or running an HVAC maintenance. Our most common calls, what does it look like, and how do we create a program that will get someone ready to be running those calls? And so we have started a plumbing school. We'll be launching early in 2024 an HVAC program in preparation for the cooling season. And we had, to create access, it's a paid program. So we pay people to come to be in our training facility, train on those top types of calls that they can go and do for our customers. And, within 20 weeks, we have them out in their own truck, ready to provide that service.
Wow. So you will pay them. So that's kind of the contract. We'll train you for the next 4 or 5 months. We'll pay you to go through training, and then you're part of the team and you're out in the field.
Yep.
I love solving for access. Does this also help solve for talent availability? Like you said, like there's not enough talent out there. So this is kind of the carrot to dangle for those that might have piqued interest, but no funds. They need to get paid today and they want to learn the trade.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Everything you said. I like to think about it as right now there is a limited pie in the skilled trade industry when you think about talent. And so as companies, we have 2 options. We can either fight over that pie that we have right now, We can offer signing bonuses. We can offer higher wages. We can offer better benefits, right? We can fight over it, or we can come together and say, what would it take to grow that pie? Let's think about how we create access. How do we create programs that get people into the trade a bit faster than traditional routes? And so that's really when I talk with other companies who do similar work to us, that's the pitch for this is, what does it take to grow the pie? Let's stop fighting over a limited resource and grow the resource. This industry, if we don't take that approach, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for the small shops to stay open. It's gonna be hard for customers because prices are gonna skyrocket as we see a, aging workforce and fewer people to do the work. And so, I really think that this is a great solution for our community, for companies, and for customers and employees.
It's interesting. Your pie analogy made me think of, like you think of professional baseball and like growing the farm system versus acquiring top end talent at a premium. Yeah. And they don't always pan out, right? Versus your farm system, the people that you hire and kind of nurture their growth, like they learn the Hoffmann way off the bat. There's just so much good that comes from, and also like, you look at like lifetime employee tenure and some of those things. I would have to think they're loyal to you, and so many good things are bred from that. At BizLibrary, we always talk about like hiring people that are smart, driven, caring, and curious. And like one of the biggest attributes we look for is like, are you a lifelong learner? Are you seeking out learning on your own? I feel like your university program for new people kind of necessitates that and teaches you a lot about someone over that period of time that is just really, really telling of what type of employee they'll be in the future.
Yeah. And when I think about like a robust talent strategy, it's going to have both, right? You're going to be bringing new people in, you're going to be developing them in the, in the Hoffmann way, or, building them from the ground, but you're also going to need those mentors, those journeymen, those experienced professionals, because there is a lot of work that people who graduate from our program cannot go and do
that makes sense.
For customers. And so we have to, it really is this approach, but what we see and what our theory would be is when experienced field professionals see us investing in new people, see us investing in building a facility, right? We're about to invest $1.2 million in building out the school next door to turn it into a state-of-the-art training facility, right? Demolition started earlier this week. I'm really excited.
Yay.
But, right, so when they see us building this, saying we're investing in new people and in this career acceleration, and if you want to be a manager, we'll invest in you to build your leadership, right? That then you say, I'm really experienced in my trade, but look at this company and like their differentiating factor and the thing that makes me want to go work with them is the level to which I see them invest in their people. And that is something that I respect the Hoffmans so much for, is they take the money that the business makes and they put it right back into the business. And when I think about somewhere that I want to work or a place that I want to, grab onto and stay, it's a place where ownership is committed to that private ownership, that family ownership, and that investment back in the business. And that really does make Hoffmann Brothers different than many of our competitors and most of our large competitors in the St. Louis area.
I love that. Hey, awesome time to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor, BizLibrary. BizLibrary is the all-in-one solution for all of your compliance, upskilling, and leadership development needs. We really are the place for anywhere that learning is happening. So check out this quick promo video.
At BizLibrary, we know that employee development and retention have never been more critical to your business. We help you build learning programs that create safe and inclusive work environments, elevate employee skills, and develop leaders who drive results. So now, you can take award-winning BizLibrary content and put it to work to help overcome your biggest challenges. BizLibrary, where learning happens.
Okay, Lorna, so let's stay on that because it has, I've been following you guys on LinkedIn for a while. Chris and Joe are guys I've known, for years and years. And it's interesting, family-owned business, and speak more to that because I think folks watching this probably are seeing your passion and also, probably seeing like, oh my gosh, they've got a university and they're doing all these different trainings, and I would love to have those resources or that time, but ultimately what it all comes back to is what you referenced earlier is C-suite buy-in to L&D and the importance of that as a pillar for a growing organization. So just if you could speak more to kind of where that refreshing view on the importance of culture comes from and your perspective on how Chris and Joe even recognize that learning is core to success of the business, because I think sometimes those things are at odds, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with like a little bit of background for people who are not as familiar with sort of our sector. So when you
Perfect.
think about residential service or you think about skilled trades, so over the past 5 years, this has been a very quickly consolidating sector. So we've seen a lot of private equity groups come in, buy up a lot of the smaller, because it's such a fragmented
Yeah.
sector. So buy up a lot of the smaller shops that have been family owned for maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 generations and bring them together, put in some operational best practices and really see the companies improve, right? So that's happening in the sector. The great thing about that for companies and people who work there is that you're seeing this operational excellence be put in place in your business. The bad part about that is that private equity companies usually have about a 5-year lifetime before they need to get their investment back and give it back to their investment, right? So you're going to see them in the end of that life cycle of those 5 years start to maybe cut some of the things that were great about the company so that they can improve revenue, improve EBITDA, and sell for, increased what they bought it for. Working at a company like Hoffmann Brothers, where Chris and Joe have made a commitment to private ownership, we don't have that same focus on having to improve and have that high EBITDA. So we're able to invest back into the company. And so, and the other thing I would say is all these companies who have been bought by the consolidators, well, those consolidators have really strong buying power, right? From manufacturers, from that. So Hoffmann Brothers, we used to be the largest. We used to be able to have that buying power. That was some of our differentiating factor. And as the industry has become more consolidated, we've lost that as our competitive advantage. And so now have moved to this place where talent is our competitive advantage. Our ability to attract and develop and retain high quality talent that customers trust and want in their homes is our differentiating factor. And so you've really seen, I think, through the investment of Hoffmann Brothers University, not only a team to lead it, but in the actual infrastructure. You really are seeing the Hoffmans invest and say, this is the thing that differentiates us. You want to work with Hoffmann Brothers, you want to work for Hoffmann Brothers, because doing that means that we're going to invest in you as a person.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like it's not growth at all costs, right? So like it's family owned and culture first, but also I feel like now, especially with uncertainty in the economy and all of these things, being able to double down on basically customer success and the IP that you have in talent development as a differentiator is such a smart place to be and such a healthy and sustainable place to be. We're seeing the same thing. Consolidation, number one C-suite trend they're seeing. I think you're seeing it across technology platforms and just everyone realizing I got to buckle down the hatches a bit and figure out how to get more from existing partners, consolidate. So I think everything you've spoken to today is fitting of kind of what Hoffmann Brothers is seeing too and where you guys are going.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting to just see how rapidly things are changing, and how defining who you are as a company and what you stand for is becoming more and more important. And Chris and Joe are doing a great job of that. And our entire C-suite, you see our entire leadership team is aligned and invested that talent is the thing. And so when you see not just the leaders of a company, but the entire C-suite align that this is the thing that's going to matter for us, it really does free a learning and development team, but also a whole business up to say, all right, we're going for it. Let's not take incremental steps. Let's have a bold vision. Let's strive for something that could really disrupt and change our sector for the better.
Well, and you're making long-term bets, right? Versus, hey, sales are down this quarter for whatever reason, like the weather was good or bad, and that impacted the number, it was people that needed help in whatever service. So now we're going to try this new shiny object and train everyone on it, and everyone gets confused. And honestly, the consumer pays for that. Yeah, that's incredible to hear. And yeah, super cool to hear your focus. As you talk about it from a outsider's perspective, who's not in any way clued into kind of the world of what you guys do, I would have thought consolidation wasn't occurring and it's old school and it would all be family owned companies that just kind of do their own thing. And it's interesting to see how much the rate of change is changing, and as well as what you were talking about relative to like innovation in technology, changes in sustainability efforts, and the need, all of those kind of macro factors that we hear time and time again as like C-suite challenges directly impact your business so significantly. So your strategy has to be really on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you would be surprised if you dug a little bit into the ownership of companies throughout the sector. There is a lot of consolidation. I believe that Hoffmann Brothers is one of the largest privately held residential service companies in the entire United States.
Oh, wow.
So
very cool. Awesome. Well, hey, really, really great discussion. Lorna, I always like to end with just anything you want to plug relative to Hoffmann Brothers, or, I think specifically ways that people can get in touch with you relative to, if they heard this and want to find out more about the university or whatever it may be, similar companies in your space. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think LinkedIn is probably the best option for connecting. And, I am definitely most passionate in talking about creating opportunity, creating access for people, whether it's through K-12 education or whether it's through companies deciding that if you want great people, you're going to develop them yourselves. So that's definitely the type of thing I always like to talk about. But, other than that, I think for the L&D folks who are watching this, when you're looking at jobs, when you're thinking about companies to work for, look for that. Is your business putting money back into the training infrastructure because they believe that that is the thing that's going to matter? And if you're an L&D team that, seeing resources cut when times get hard, what are the conversations that you're having with your leadership around, I think, Paul, you said it, the long-term bets versus the short-term ones?
I love that advice. Super smart. So awesome. Thank you again so much for your time, and we will see you on the next episode of L&D Unlocked. Thanks all.
This episode has been brought to you by BizLibrary. Head to bizlibrary.com for more information.